Okay, this is Advertising Management, EBK 315, Chapter 2, The Big Picture, the Evolution of Advertising and Integrated Marketing Communication. So, chapter overview, we're going to explain the principles of free market economics, the functions and effects of advertising as an economic tool, and the impact of advertising. We'll explain the following objectives, explain the role of competition in free market economics, understand branding and its benefits, discuss how the role of advertising has changed, discuss the functions advertising performs in a free market, identify milestones in advertising history, discuss how the role of advertising has changed, and explore advertising's impact on society. So look at slide number 4. And again, I'm also going to look at the bottom. The bottom of all the slides that I post have instructor notes, which are very helpful. So we live in a free market economy, which means that the market determines what is produced and consumed and how much is produced and consumed. It is not a government. It's not ruled by the government as is done during wartime. Like right now with the COVID virus, the president is talking about forcing organizations to make the supplies that we need to fight this insidious virus. But in regular times, it's a market-driven economy. It's not driven by the government. Companies or firms make products, goods, and services, and people buy products. The interaction of these two groups is what drives our economy. So there are 4 key assumptions in the free market economic model. Self-interest. People and firms pursue their own goals. Buyers compete to meet their self-interested needs, which leads to more products being available at lower prices as sellers look to earn profits. Complete information. Buyers make better choices when they have lots of information about products in the marketplace. And of course, that is affected and facilitated by the internet. Many buyers and sellers, with many sellers trying to satisfy many buyers. If one firm doesn't meet the buyer's needs, then another will produce a better product. Consumers are in the driver's seat. Firms have to satisfy consumer needs in order to succeed. We also have absence of externalities. Externalities are social costs. Sometimes the sales or purchase of a product may harm or benefit others not involved in the transaction. For example, cigarettes. In this situation, the government may tax or regulate a product to compensate for or even eliminate these social costs, kind of evening the playing field. Keep in mind that these assumptions describe an ideal economy. You'll never have complete information on a product. Externalities created by a product or sale will never be totally absent. These are the principles of which our economy operates. Move on to slide number 5. Function and effect of advertising. Advertising helps identify and differentiate one product from another. This is the purpose of branding, which we will discuss further in a moment. Advertising informs consumers about a product, its features and benefits, and how to purchase it. This non-stick fry pan is a snap to clean at only $14.99 at Walmart. Advertising attempts to convince people to try a new product. This new blender breaks down nutrients to their molecular level. Obviously, that's hyperbole. It sounds like something you'd see on an infomercial. For existing customers, advertising suggests reusing a product and using it more often. For example, it's not Halloween without Reese's peanut butter cups. Buy an extra bag for yourself. Advertising stimulates and distribution by communicating product information to new markets. Think about when a place like Starbucks opens its first stores in China or in Cuba in a little while from now. Advertising builds product value as well as consumers' preference and loyalty to a specific brand. Millions of people drink Coke and eat at McDonald's. Who do they still advertise? Who do they still advertise? What is the message of these ads? Finally, advertising lowers the cost of sales for producers. This is considered the most important function of advertising. Imagine a world without advertising. How much would it cost a company to send a salesperson door to door? It'd be ridiculous. How many people would the salespeople likely see in one day? It would not be efficient, not be very smart. Move on to slide 6. Benefits of strong brands. What are some of the benefits of strong brands? Helps you do premium pricing, charge more for something, price war protection, increase new product success, leverage for negotiating, attractive to partners, aids in dealing with a crisis when it happens, and recruit top talent, and of course, get customer loyalty. Going back to a strong brand can better survive a crisis. If Starbucks or Chipotle has a product recall, will you stop visiting their stores forever? Obviously not, and we know that because Chipotle had just had a massive issue a couple of years ago with E. coli, and people are still eating there. I'll move on to the next slide, slide number 7. Talks about the evolution of advertising running from the pre-industrial, pre-1800, all the way up to post-industrial, which is the 80s to the present time. Move on to the next slide. Pre-industrial stage, prior to 1800, few people knew how to read. Simple pictographic signs would depict what was going on. Obviously, it was a very, very, basic society with few people that knew how to read. First advertisement was a printed handbill selling Bibles that was tacked to a church in 1472. Not much different from a sign you tack on a light pole advertising a yard sale. 200 years later, the first newspapers were produced, and people knew how to read more, and producers recognized a way to communicate. You're not going to do well in a third world country where the literacy rate is 25%. Modern day advertising depends on a lot of things, one of which is literacy, and of course access to the internet and a smartphone. And actually, use of a smartphone, the access to a smartphone, is one of the indications of a society that's really, really primed for marketing and advertising. Industrial age of advertising, producers needed mass consumption to match mass production. For the first time, it cost less to buy a product than to make it yourself. And transportation breakthroughs facilitated distribution, such as the railroad, increased need for mass marketing techniques because there was a mass market emerging. Industrial age of advertising, fresh markets for new inexpensive brands of luxury and convenience goods, consumer packaged goods, catalogs mailed to rural areas. Radio provides a new medium to reach people. And by the way, radio is still strong, even though it's over 100 years old. And advertising becomes a profession. Move on to slide number 11. The golden age of advertising. We had product differentiation. This is all this happened between WW2 and 1970. Product differentiation. Rosses, Reeves, and the Ted Bates agency stated that every ad must point out the product USP, unique selling proposition. The USP states features that differentiate a product from its competition. So advertising no longer focused on saying we have product X to meet your needs. Now it said we have product X, and this is why it's better than product Y. But as every company produced mass marketed products that were better than the competition, the USP strategy lost its punch because everybody was doing it. With market segmentation, marketers search for unique groups of people whose needs can be addressed through more specialized products, more of a granular level, more of a laser-focused approach. Think about razors. Years ago, there was one basic type of razors. Now there are razors for men, razors for women, razors for different types of shaving, and product positioning. A particular brand is distinguished from competitors by associating the brand with a set of high-priority customer needs. For example, Diet Coke meets the needs of people who want a delicious soda with no calories. Now, let's move on to slide number 12. Post-industrial advertising began in the 1980s. Although it's only been about 30 years, this period has already been a time of major changes both at home and globally. Acute shortages of oil in the 1970s and 80s affected America's rampant consumption of energy and slowed its economy. In response, companies that produced energy and energy-consuming goods began the practice of demarketing to decrease the use of their product. The Cold War ended, and the transition of communist countries to market economies opened huge consumer markets. America's huge baby boomer population, born after WW2, came of age with a new level of affluence not seen in prior generations. Lower global trade barriers, which was effectuated by the fall of the Berlin Wall. So again, lower global trade barriers, increased competition among producers. These developments and a maturation of the advertising industry in Europe and Asia led to the increased agency competition and the growth of large global agencies through acquisition and mergers. And of course, the birth of the internet and social media over the past 2 decades has helped post-industrial advertising immensely. The next slide is a slide on advertising becomes a worldwide enterprise and uses some statistics based on the marketer, the headquarters, and the money spent. And this is basically an old chart from 2012, so it's changed. Global interactive age, TV remote control, satellite cable, narrowcasting, personal computers, smartphones, and the web, which is huge. I mean, the web really has changed everything that we do and how we do it, and that's really something that has. It's the modern day version of the Gutenberg press. I have no other way of describing it. Slide 15. Advertising as a social force, improve standards of living. Right, it's helped us, get products or get us things that we need. Support social benefit causes of organizations. Enables us to communicate about ourselves by the products we buy. So look at the phone that you have. If you're an iPhone person, are you an Android person? Are you a Samsung person? You drive a certain car, a certain type, and ensures availability of information, which is important at all times. And advertising ethics is issues of puffery, basically exaggerated claims about a product, advertising products to children who are not as sophisticated decoding advertising messages and are vulnerable parts of society, and advertising legal but unhealthy products such as tobacco or alcohol can all have potentially negative impacts. Not only are these practices harmful, they are generally considered unethical to varying degrees. Final slide for tonight. Results in law, and we have the Pure Food and Drug Act, Federal Trade Commission Act, Better Business Bureau, which is not a government agency, but is self-regulating, Association of National Advertisers, which is also self-regulating, and American Advertising Federation, which is also a self-regulating agency. Okay, thank you so much for joining, and have a great evening, and stay safe.